Hello and welcome to my Tarot Corner. So to start with, first of all want to thank you all for coming back and for your beautiful comments. Some of you asked about this tablecloth. This is a tablecloth that is the interpretation of the Lenormand cards. This is not the major arcanas, and it is something that I got on Etsy. It's not very expensive, and if any one of you wants the link, please just email me and I will send you the link. It's very easy to find and not so expensive. You can get it on AliExpress. You can get it on Etsy as well, but on Etsy it's much more expensive. On AliExpress it's much cheaper, and usually the shipping is free. Okay, so that's one thing. And regarding my reading about Harry and Dr. Mate, one commentator asked about Dr. Mate and whether or not he has the right to call himself a Holocaust survivor. I wrote her a very extensive answer, and I said that if she wanted, and if many of you want, I can do a video, a separate video only talking about a little bit about the history of the Holocaust in Hungary, about what I know. I have studied the Holocaust quite extensively, and especially in Hungary, since my family comes from Hungary. My grandmother was Hungarian, and I have quite a lot of information about that. So if you are interested, just let me know. I might do a poll about it. So just let me know in the comments if it is something that interests you. This would be more of a history lesson than a tarot reading. Okay, so this reading is about the meeting that Harry had with Dr. Mate, from Harry's point of view, and the way that he was feeling in that meeting, the way that Dr. Mate saw him. And I'm not going to go into what was said in the meeting. You can go to the Royal Grift, who has been doing quite an extensive videos that are, she's just started, but she is analyzing that interview, that meeting very extensively. Royal News Network has done a very good video about that, and Liliano of Barbados did a very good video about that. So if you want to know the actual content of that meeting, just go and watch. One of the things that I have to emphasize is that Dr. Mate, two things, is that Dr. Mate diagnosed Harry with ADD just upon reading his book. Now, I've been saying that Harry has the ADD for a long time, and that I didn't need to read his book for that. But diagnosing someone just by reading a book that he himself hasn't written, but it was written by a ghostwriter, I don't think that this is a good way of diagnosing a person. And the other thing is that Dr. Mate's information about the royal family came from watching The Crown. So that also comes to show that he's not really doing a good job of making or doing good research about subjects before you go and talk to someone about whatever. If you are going to talk about his problems with the royal family, maybe you should know a little bit more about the royal family than what is depicted in The Crown. And of course, everything that Harry was saying there about his drug use and all of the things that he's being admitting to that are not exactly helping him. And you can come to think, does he really saying those things in sane mind? It really does come to show that this is not a person that is speaking out of a sane mind. And I want to see how Harry really felt before and during that interview, how Dr. Mate really saw him. So I'm going to do another Celtic cross. And I said to you in the past, and I'm saying it again, there are many, many variations to the Celtic cross. And I'm using all sorts of variations when I'm doing readings on this channel. And none of those variations are the ones that I'm using with clients. With clients, I'm using a different variation, which is something that is all about getting a person forward in his life. So it's not about a gossipy kind of reading. So it's different, but this time I'm using another version of the Celtic cross, not the same one that I did in the previous reading I did. Okay, so before I start, please take a few moments to read my full disclaimer in the description box. This is a tarot reading. It is vibrational. It is open to interpretation. It exists as assumptions and speculation, and as such may or may not be true. So please do your own research and decide for yourselves. And as you can see, the theme of the reading is dark decks. And the dark deck that I'm using is the ROYO Dark Tarot, which is another Spanish creator. And this is the ROYO is the creator of this deck. This deck the first deck that he created was the Dark Tarot, the Black Tarot, the Dark Tarot. The ROYO Tarot is a second tarot deck that is based on the Dark Tarot. Okay, so let's start by clearing the deck. And let's start asking. So, Harry, during his meeting with Dr. Mate, how was he feeling? What was he thinking about when he went to that meeting? What crossed him? What were his wait a minute. I'm sorry, let's start over. So Harry, when he went to the meeting with Dr. Mate, before and during the meeting, his feelings, the things that obstructed him, his obstacles, what were his hopes and fears, what was in his subconscious, what were his goals through that meeting, what did Dr. Mate think about him, what were the things that were behind him, what were the things that were before him. Harry, during the meeting with Dr. Mate. Okay, so let's cut the deck. First card is Harry during and before the meeting. And the card that I'm getting is the Eight of Wands. So it's interesting because we've been getting the Eight of Wands quite a lot with Harry. So he was feeling that he is in the right place at the right time. He felt that this was the right thing for him to do. Now, it's quite logical, because if he wasn't feeling that way, then he wouldn't do that. This is about communication. This is about electronic communication. And he felt that this is the right thing for him to do. And if you remember from the relationship that reading that I did with him and Meghan, this is what Meghan is letting him feel all the time, that he is doing the right thing, that he is in the right place, that he is doing the right, that this is the right thing to do. So he's being encouraged to do that by Meghan, and he keeps feeling that this is the right thing to do, that this is the right place, the right time, that this is what he should be doing. So this is what the Eight of Wands speaks about. This is what he's been talking about. And you can see here that there is a shadow behind the person here, and this shadow is crying, and this shadow is this is the shadow self. This is the shadow that is crying behind him. So he's not aware of this shadow. He's not aware that his hand is becoming this claw. He really believes that he is there to share his grievances, to share his feelings, that he's there because he has a right to do that, but he doesn't see that his hand is becoming this claw, that he's actually becoming very evil. So he doesn't see that, but he feels that this is the right thing, that he's there to do the right thing. So this is what he feels like. This is how he went to that meeting, and this is how he felt during that meeting, or at least at the beginning of that meeting. Now, what was the thing that obstructs him, or the obstacles that were in his way? And we get the Knight of Swords, which is quite remarkable, because if you remember my last reading, when I looked at the royal family and the way that they are seeing him, they see him as the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is the spoiled kid. That is the person that waits for others to do things for him. It's the person that is not doing things by himself because he wants things done by others. But on the other hand, he's becoming militant. He's becoming, self-indulgent. He is someone who is, I forgot the word, stubborn. And because of all of these attributes, he misses opportunities. So this is his main obstacle, and he knows that. So it's not a coincidence that this is how his family sees him, and this is how he feels, that this is what obstructs him. The fact that he knows that he cannot manifest, that he cannot do things by himself, and instead of finding ways to do things by himself, and instead of trying to find solutions to things and trying to find how to find a way to manifest, he is going out into war, he is going to adversaries, he is egotistical, and he is getting militant. So this is a person that has a tendency to ruin things that he's building. And because of that, he is incautious, and this is what one of the things that really, really obstructs him, because he's not paying attention to how he ruins everything that he has built. He's going there, he is admitting to use of illicit drugs, he's admitting to being away from his family, to having alone time. So he's actually admitting to neglecting his children. And a lot of things that he's admitting to are things that can be used against him. He's not paying attention to those things. He is destroying everything that he has. He's unaware that he is giving other people ammunition against him by doing those things, but by being stubborn, by being egotistical, by going into unnecessary wars, he is giving people ammunition against him. So this is something that he's not aware of, and this is the main obstacle here. Okay, Next card is what crowns him, or what are the goals, what did he expect to achieve from that conversation. And what we're getting here is the, wait a minute, the Hanged Man. Okay, so the Hanged Man, it's a card of changing point of view. And I think that this is a card that tries to show us, I'm putting it away because there is nudity here, so I don't want it to be too close to the camera. But this card is showing that he wanted to try and change the public's point of view of him. He made it very clear, I'm not a victim, after South Park called him a victim. So he's trying to persuade himself and the public that he's not what other people call him. He is trying to change the world's point of view of him. He believes that this conversation will help to change the public's point of view of him. It will help to change the way that people see him. And this is his main goal. This is what he wanted to achieve from this. This is why he agreed to this. He was trying to control the narrative. He wouldn't allow the doctor to diagnose him while he was kicking him when he tried to help to give him all sorts of diagnosis. And I'm not sure that he wasn't right to do that, because those diagnoses were very superficial. But it doesn't matter that he wouldn't listen even to that doctor. And this is about him trying to change other people's way of seeing him, trying to change the other people's perspective, because he's unable to change his own perspective. And he still believes that everything will turn out okay. He still believes that that he will be able to change everyone's point of view, that he will be able to win this war and change the way people see the royal family and start supporting him. He still believes that he is able to change that. But this card shows that he does feel that he's sacrificing himself. He does feel a victim. This is why we got the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is the epitome of a victim, of someone who sacrifices himself. This is what the Hanged Man is all about. He believes, he feels that he's a victim, that he's self-sacrificing. And this is a card of a person who is stubborn. Once again, the stubbornness is here, like this very thin line that is going from one card to another, and he's stuck. He's in between. He doesn't have the real energy to change and go forward. He's unable to move forward. That's why he's stuck in this position, and he's unable to change the people's point of view of him. He's unable to change his own perspective, and he's staying there as the sacrifice, and he's telling the world, no, I'm not a victim. Okay. What is underlying this, or what motivated him to do that interview? And once again, there is a difference between his motivation and his goal. The goal is what he wanted to achieve. Motivation is the inner motivation, and the inner motivation here is, the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles is the hesitant knight, and the hesitant knight is talking about not being sure, not going into something wholeheartedly. So first of all, it shows that he wasn't very sure before he agreed to that. The Knight of Pentacles also speaks about money, so we do see that the money factor here was a factor that talked. And Penguin Random House did have this sword on his upon him, or this some kind of he had some kind of obligation that he needed to meet, and there was this something that he had to do in order to get more books sold. So the Knight of Pentacles is also about getting something done, getting needs, but this is about a person that is looking for confirmation. And this is him trying to, and this is the main motivation. He was hoping to get confirmation from the doctor to everything that he was doing. That doctor was chosen very carefully because of his history as a doctor that is treating people with hallucinogens, as a doctor that has very controversial views, and of course because he has a book himself to promote that is being published through Penguin Random House. But that doctor was chosen because Harry felt that he will be there to support the things that he has to say. He did not feel that this will be any kind of controversy between him and the doctor, that this doctor will be there to tell him, yeah, you are right, everything that you're saying is correct. Yes, self-medicating with drugs is the right way to go forward. Yes, everything that you're saying is right. This he did not expect to meet any kind of controversy. And it's interesting to see how he felt when he got the diagnosis from the doctor. That will be next. But this is what his main motives were: to get confirmation to what he's doing, that what he's doing is the right thing, because deep inside he knows that it's not right. And this is why we have here this fight between light and darkness. This is the fight that is going on within Harry's psyche. Because Harry, deep inside, knows that this is not the right way to conduct your life. He knows that this is not true, this is not right. He knows it. And he has this constant fight between darkness and light. He has it all the time. But he wants to get the confirmation that his choice of going with darkness is the right choice, that this is the right way to deal with all of his traumas, that this is the right way to treat his PTSI, as he calls it, or this is the right way to treat all of the terrible way that he was treated when he was a child, his traumatic traumas of losing his mother as a child. He was the one who raised the doctor's traumas from his childhood. So, because he was trying to validate his own traumas, because he was trying to get validation to the way that he was self-medicating. So that is one reason, the most inner reason why he agreed to that. Okay, so what is behind him? What is he leaving behind? What does he feel that is not helping him and he doesn't need anymore? And what we're getting here is the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is a card that represents Her Majesty the Queen, usually. This is the Taurus card. The Queen was a Taurus, and it represents the institution, in my opinion, because the Queen was a representation of the institution, and the Queen of Pentacles is the sensible queen. She's the one who knows how to deal with money, how to deal with business. She's the one who is very stable. She's the one who knows how to be stable even though things are changing around her. She knows how to connect to property, to inheritance, and she's someone who's very practical. And this is something that he is leaving behind because he feels that this is something that he doesn't need any longer. This is something that he cuts out of his life. This is something that he feels he doesn't need. So for him, once the queen died, he cuts his family out of his life. This is what he feels that he doesn't need anymore. This is what he feels that that's behind him. There is no way back to the royal family for Harry. Now, I'm not talking about now the royal family that won't receive him back. I'm talking about the Harry that doesn't, right now, as he feels, he doesn't want back. Okay? Now, what does he feel that is before him? What does he feel that is opening to him? And he feels that what's opening to him is the Five of Wands. So he knows that he has to fight to get the victory that he wants. But Five of Wands is also about getting that victory if you are receiving help. And the help is a non-conventional help. Now, usually when we're talking about non-conventional help, we're talking about help that is treatment, mental health treatment. In this instance, it could be any kind of non-conventional help. This could even be drugs in his mind. But he knows right now that the victory is not something that it's a done deal, that he needs to fight for everything in his life. And it's very much like the Five of Swords that I got when I was looking in his relationship with Meghan and how he really feels about Meghan. And he knows that he needs to fight. He knows that this is not a done deal, that her love for him is not something that is there forever and that is something that is unchangeable. He knows that, and he knows, and this is something that came up in that conversation as well, that he feels constantly that he needs to fight for her. And if you remember in my reading about their relationship, there was this part where he lets her feel that she's the King of Wands, the one who has the ideas, the one who has the ability to get the ideas. And this is exactly what he said in that interview, that she's the one with the brains, she's the one who has the ideas, and he needs to fight for her all the time. And this is exactly what he needs. So he feels. So he knows that the victory is still not there, that he still has to fight. And he knows that this is not something that will happen without help. But he still realizes that this help is an unconventional help, and he still doesn't know what is the right kind of help. So he's still looking for the right kind of help. And right now, the right kind of help for him is to take some time alone and self-medicate. And for Meghan, it's probably the right thing, because she doesn't want him near her. Okay, so how did he really feel during that conversation? What was his attitude? And we're getting the Three of Swords. So he wasn't very happy during that conversation. He was feeling attacked. The Three of Swords is a self-destruction card. It's a self-destruction that comes after the Two of Swords, which is a card of not seeing reality and being unable to cope with reality. And because you are unable to cope with reality, you are making mistakes. And when you're making mistakes, you are ending up in destruction and failure. And during that conversation, he was realizing that this was a mistake, that he did not get what he wanted from that conversation, that he was not getting the validation that he was looking for, that he was not getting that okay, that yes, what you're doing is the right thing, that he was feeling attacked in a way by those diagnoses that the doctor gave him. That's how he was feeling. He wasn't happy at the end of that conversation, and it's a little bit like what Meghan has been doing after every interview that she's been doing, even after the Netflix Netflix documentary. She's always taking a step away. She's always distancing herself because she's always repenting on things that she's doing. And I am betting that we will hear Harry saying something that will distance him from that conversation. He right now doesn't feel that it was the right thing. He is repenting. He felt, even during that conversation, he felt that it was a mistake. How did Dr. Mate see him during the conversation? And what I'm getting here is the Chariot. Okay, so the Chariot is a card that is complicated, because the Chariot is a card of someone who is willing to do whatever he can to fulfill his dreams, but it is also a card of war and adversary. And this card is a card of someone who is shackled. Now, I'm putting it away because there is nudity in this card, but this woman is shackled, and she's in a place that is full of coals, and it looks like hell. Okay, this card. If I had known that it's the Chariot, I would say it's more like the devil. And remember, this is a dark deck. This is a shadow deck, and this is how he was seen by Dr. Mate. So he was seen as someone who was willing to do whatever he could to fulfill his dreams, and ended up being shackled to those dreams, being shackled to this relationship that he's in. And once again, Chariot is an anima card. This is a card of a very destructive love, if it's not a reciprocal love. So if that love is not reciprocated by the partner, then the person who feels that love is very much in pain. And the Chariot is one of the stronger animal cards. And it is a card of someone that can be in a very destructive relationship, someone who is in a relationship with a narcissist. So this is a person that is shackled, someone who went through all of those disagreements and quarrels in order to fulfill his dreams, and now he is shackled in that hell, because he doesn't know how to get out of this hell. And part of this is why he is self-medicating, because this is his way of running away from this, even for a short period of times. But this is really a destructive, this is a destructive card when it is not done properly. So this is how Dr. Mate sees him. He sees him as someone who is really shackled, and someone who has gone out to fulfill a dream and made all of the mistakes that he could, and just ruined his life, and he's now in a very dire place. Okay, so what was Harry hoping for or afraid of? And I'm getting the Ace of Swords. So Harry was hoping for the ability to get his thoughts and ideas and his plans out there. He thought that he will be able to verbalize everything that he really thought about, to be able to say the things that he believes in, to be very persuasive, to be very coherent. This is what he was hoping for. He was hoping for a discussion in which he sounds like a very coherent person, someone who is very wise, someone who learned his lesson, someone who you can trust. This is what he was hoping for, and this is what he wanted. So this is one of the reasons that he went to that conversation, and he still hopes for that. So he still wants to be seen as this person that is able to show the world that he has plans, that he has strategies, that he can make those strategies realized in the material world. What is going to be the outcome? And the outcome is the Eight of Swords. Okay, so if we're talking about a person that was shackled in the Chariot card, the Eight of Swords is another card of someone who is shackled, and this is an emotional shackle. If you remember how the Eight of Swords looks like in the Rider-Waite, it is a woman that is standing there with all of the Eight of Swords around her, and she is there with her eyes closed, and she's there tied, but it's not very hard for her to get away from those shackles, because all she needs to do is open her eyes. In this card, we see a woman with her eyes open, and these swords and this shackle is not something very easy to get away from. So we see Harry still shackled, still tied up, still unable to get freed, and unfortunately it's not going to get better. He's not going to be released anytime soon. And if in my relationship reading I said that it won't be for at least 7 months, now I'm saying at least 8 months, because it's at least this time frame, 7 to 8 months it will take until he will be able to open his eyes. Whether he will be able to start getting released, that is even more complicated. But in the relationship spread, the Seven of Pentacles was about seeing reality and being disillusioned and being disappointed from reality. Here it is about when the Eight of Swords is over, then he might be able to actually see reality as it is, because this woman has her eyes wide open, but it doesn't mean that she sees reality, because even when your eyes are wide open, when you're using drugs, for example, you don't see reality. And this is exactly what we see with Harry. He doesn't really see reality. He sees the reality that he has contrived, the reality that he is created to himself. And he still is there thinking that he is in the right place at the right time, and that he is there suffering, and he doesn't see the shadow behind him, just like this woman doesn't see the shadow behind her. And this is how he starts, and this is how he ends. So maybe in 8 months he will be able to see reality. Okay, so that's the tarot, and the oracle is the dark goddess, another dark themed oracle deck. So let's see what we get. And I'm going to just ask for a card around the meeting between Harry and Dr. Mate, and what does the oracle have to say about that? The meeting between Harry and Dr. Mate, the meeting between Harry and Dr. Mate. Okay, obsession, change. Why am I not surprised? So I'm going to just read one passage here. Being fixated on one thing may initially help or achieve a goal, but it becomes an obsession. Things can go wrong. Doing everything for someone else, be it a partner or a child, might at first feel good, but for who? Children in particular need to learn responsibility for their actions and their words, or they will never be able to fulfill their potential. You need to step back and let people make their own decisions and their own mistakes. So this is about stepping back and not being obsessed about being too much involved with your children, and I don't think that he's very much involved with his children, but with his partner for sure. And this card is telling us that what we could see during that session was his obsession. Okay, so this is it. And just one thing, people asked about this spoon. This is a Welsh love spoon. Yankee Wally showed it in one of her videos, and I got one, and since her channel went down, I felt the necessity to have one on my desk, like on my altar, so I always see it and I always have her in my heart. So this is what this is all about. And I hope you liked it, and if you did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.